Welcome to Christian Truth for All. If you are interested to get more information from ourselves, or if you would like some more help on worksheets or any further activities, please feel free to email us or to get in contact with us through social media, and we're happy to help you out. I'm going to think again this morning about some amazing Bible stories and lessons that we can learn from the Bible. As a Christian, the Bible is a remarkable book, and inside that book you will have some incredible stories. Some of these are described or called miracles, and a miracle is something that we just do not have the power or ability to do. I can't make a seed grow like in the picture just now. That has to be done by some external force. I can plant the seed, I can water the ground, I can try and help it along, but there's nothing else that I can do. And some of the things that God's Son Jesus Christ was able to do, we can only step back and read them and say they are complete miracles. I have no idea how it happened, but I understand and believe that because Jesus is God's Son, he has got power and control, and he is able to do these things. So we're going to think about Jesus, and we're going to think about this miracle today. If you want to read it for yourself, and I would encourage you to do that, you can either read your physical Bible, like a Bible in your hands, or you can look online, or there's lots and lots of good apps that you can use on your phones and iPads and devices. But read Mark chapter 4 and verse number 35 to verse 41, and you'll find out for yourself the account of this story. But the lesson today is all about who cares? Who cares? Maybe you have asked that question in your life, but who cares? Maybe you said it in a negative way. Well, I don't care. Who cares? Or maybe you've asked the question from a heart perspective and said, who cares for me? And all round about us, there's lots and lots of charities and organisations set up to show care and to show kindness and to show compassion, and we can join with that. There's lots and lots of really amazing work goes on by charities like the Great Ormond Street Hospital charity, or Comet Relief, or Movember, or the British Heart Foundation, Help for Heroes, Children in Need, things that we know about, and we can show our care by giving donations. We can donate money, doesn't always have to be, remember. We can donate time, that's a big, big thing. We can donate food or clothes, or we can just donate ourselves just to be there for somebody. Maybe there's somebody in your street or someone that you know who's passing through difficult circumstances. Well, you can show your care just by asking to help them, or you even draw a picture for them, or write them a little letter. Perhaps that's a good activity for us all to do just now when we're stuck in isolation during the coronavirus. It could be someone in your street that is living by themselves, or maybe their husband or wife has died. You could just write them a little letter, post it through their door. You could show your care by doing that. You could draw a little picture from them for them, post it through their door. Yeah, they might not know who you are, but you can write your name and your number or your house on it, and I'm sure it would brighten up their day to get something. And you're showing your care towards them. But maybe you are yourself just a little bit sad or down, or maybe you're saying, does anyone actually care for me? And there are times in life when we can say and truthfully say that, I just feel so sad. Does anybody care for me? My heart's breaking. I'm upset. Maybe my family are going through difficult times, or maybe it's hard at school, or transitioning to another school. This is difficult. What am I going to do? Well, actually, we can ask God to help us. I met some children just a couple of years ago. I was across in India visiting some schools across there, and some of these children, they could easily say, does anyone care for us? In fact, the children in this photograph, all their parents had died of HIV or AIDS, and they were orphans. They were left by themselves. Thankfully, they stayed at a wonderful place where people showed their care, and where they went to school, and where they even got jobs working in the little farm associated with the school as well. And it's amazing to look at people showing their care in this way. I also met some other children who lived in an orphanage, and you might think, oh, that looks dreadful to be there, but they loved it. Why? They loved it because there was people there who were showing kindness and care and compassion. This little girl's parents, they abandoned her. And thankfully, she was taken into this orphanage, and all the children just treat her like royalty, and the staff as well, and they show their care and kindness and compassion. Do you? Jesus did. One day, he began to do some remarkable Well, he spoke some remarkable parables and stories, but he did some amazing miracles as well. And it showed by his miracles that he cared for us. Peter said this, we can cast all our cares and our worries on him because God cares for us. The story today is all about Jesus Christ and his care. The Lord Jesus showed this to so many people. He didn't differentiate, he didn't discriminate like perhaps what we do sometimes. He showed care for everybody he met. There was a man one day who came from a place called Capernaum. He couldn't walk. Jesus didn't know him, had never met him, knew all about him. And he was brought to Jesus, unable to walk, and he left Jesus able to walk because he showed his care. There was a man who had a horrific disease called leprosy. It was so contagious. It was easily caught from and spread from person to person. The Lord Jesus Christ didn't shy away from him. He went to him and he cleansed him and he healed him. I'd never met him before, but he cared for him. Well, one day, after having done all these amazing miracles, if you read through Mark's gospel, you'll see them there, and he spoke some incredible parables as well to people. He then spoke to his disciples, his followers, and said, we are going to go and we're going to jump into a ship and we're going to sail across the Sea of Galilee and we're going to go to the other side. Yeah, that was fine, because a lot of these disciples, before they became disciples of Jesus, they were fishermen, some of them. Others had different jobs, but quite a few of them were fishermen, like Peter and James and John and Andrew. And they quite happily, I'm sure, jumped into their boat and began to sail across the sea. Now, as they were sailing, it was just a normal day. Things were absolutely fine. They were sailing across, they were perhaps enjoying the sail right down through the middle of the sea, right down into the very south of the area. And as they were going, it was just normal. The Lord Jesus, he came into the ship. There was actually more than one ship there. There was quite a few little vessels. And the Lord Jesus was in one, and he went to the very back of the boat, the stern, the rear of the boat, and he fell asleep with his head on a pillow. It showed that there was somebody who is God, but is also man. The Bible describes him as God manifest in flesh, God as a man. And after having done all that amazing work, he fell asleep. The disciples kept on sailing. Things were normal. They had done this perhaps hundreds of times. But, unfortunately, disaster struck. Because as they're sailing down through the sea, as they're passing down through the water, this huge storm almost erupted from nowhere. And the little ship that they were in was in a bit of danger, because the wind began to blow and the waves began to get kicked up by the wind, and the boat began to be in a dangerous situation. It was getting smashed by the waves. The wind was howling through it. The ship was going up and down and back and forward, being tossed by the waves, and the disciples inside the vessels were beginning to get a little bit afraid. They were afraid of water, too much of it coming into the ship. Now here's an activity for you. Get a bucket or a basin of water, and then get a little bowl or a cup or something that can float, and stick it in the water and it'll float. Move your hand about in the water and it'll raise some waves up, and it'll still float. It might get some water going over the top of it, but it'll still float. Then get your cup or jug or basin or whatever's floating and half fill it with water. Leave it sitting in the water and it will still float, but not as well. Then begin to make some waves, and you'll see that very quickly, easily, that little vessel that's floating in your bucket or basin, it'll sort of list to one side, and the water will move, and it'll become unstable, and a little bit might slip under the water, and before you know it, it'll flip upside down, it'll capsize, or it'll sink. That's what they were frightened of. So there's a little science experiment for you to do at home, and just don't get too wet. There they are, in the ship, being smashed by the wind and the waves, and they were petrified. In the middle of the whole thing, the Lord Jesus was fast asleep, sleeping at the back of the boat. And the disciples, in their fear and in their terror, thought, what are we going to do? And they ran, they went up to Jesus Christ, and they asked him. Well, first of all, they woke him up. I don't know how you had to get woken up today, whether your parents or sisters or brothers had to go in and pull your covers off you, or whether you're up nice and bright and early before anybody else, or whether they had to switch the light on or open the curtains or jump on you to waken you up or blow the trumpet, I've no idea. But not with Jesus. I know he was sleeping, but he knows everything. He was aware of what was happening. And the disciples went to him and they began to speak to him. And they asked him, I think, one of the saddest questions that we read in the Bible are statements. They say, Lord, do you not care that we're perishing? Lord, do you not care that we're in danger? Lord, do you not care that we're drowning here, that we potentially could sink here? What do you think? Of course he cared. He cared for them. He cares for you. He knows the situations that we are passing through in our lives. Some are really difficult. Some situations and illnesses and deaths and sadness are really, really hard to deal with and work with. But God knows and God cares. And the great thing is, as a Christian, and as the Bible teaches me as a Christian, that when I have given my life to Jesus, I have asked him to forgive my sins. I have said that I belong to you, Jesus. That he never leaves us or forsakes us. Even when things are hard, even in the storms of life, like what these disciples were in, he's still there to help us. Now, I can pray to God and God hears me. I can pray to God and God answers my prayer. Not always the way that I want it, but the way that he thinks right. And if you've got something that you want me or us to pray for, then please just let us know. If there's somebody that you're sad about or upset about, just get in contact with us and we'll happily pray, and we can pray for them and add them to our prayer list, and maybe even pray together when this is all over, because God cares. And of course Jesus cared. He stood up, which is quite a hard thing to do in a ship, in a storm. He stood up in the ship, in the storm, and then he began to speak to the wind and the waves. I wouldn't suggest you try doing that, actually, because people might think you're mad. But he stood up and he rebuked him and said, peace, be still. 3 words, peace, be still. Here's another activity for you. I want to see some nice pictures, some nice designs of a lovely beach scene or a boat scene, or just any scene, to be honest, with those 3 words in nice big bold letters, peace, be still. Read through Mark chapter 4 and see if you can find where those 3 words actually are. Peace, be still. He said, peace, be still. And the wind heard him, and the waves heard him, and the sea stopped, and this calmness came across the whole sea. And those ships, because it wasn't just this one, there was others too, they were at peace. They were calm. The disciples were utterly amazed. They actually began to speak to each other and say this, who then is this? Even the wind and the sea obey him. This is incredible. We don't understand this. Well, actually, we do now, don't we? We know why. Because it is Jesus Christ doing a miracle. Something that we just couldn't do. Something that we would find absolutely impossible. And of course, only Jesus is the one that can do that, because he's the one who came from God, came into this world, lived an amazingly perfect and sinless life, and yet still was taken and died on the cross in Calvary and rose again from the dead. And is alive right now, actually. He cares. Does anyone care about me? God does. And Jesus Christ showed his care. God knows everything that we're passing through. God cares for the situations that you're in your life. God cares about the problems that we have. God cares for us to the very, very point of him giving us his son. That's how we know. That's why Peter said these things. Cast all your care on him because he cares for you. And yes, we can show care for others, and we can try and do everything we can to help other people, to make their lives a little bit better, the way that we would want to live our lives as well. But actually, we can know eternal care and eternal peace just by trusting Jesus Christ. You know, a man called Paul in the Bible, who wrote a lot of the New Testament, actually, he said this, Jesus is this, he's the Son of God who loved me and who gave himself for me. And if you're going to give yourself for somebody, then quite evidently you care for that person. So miracles are amazing. The Bible is a wonderful book. Jesus Christ is a remarkable person. And who cares? God cares. What about activities? What can we do? Well, we'll set a little challenge with you with a bucket of water and your little boat. You've got your nice Peace Be Still worksheet to try and make up, or picture to try and do for me. There's other things that you can do, like become a news reporter for the day. You can set up a little desk or sit at a table and get someone to record you on the phone or device, and you can sort of broadcast the news, breaking news. There was a storm, but there was someone who stopped the storm, and there's someone who shows care. You can be the news reporter for the day. Or you can begin to think of care and how you can show care and how you can try and help others, maybe in your family or in your street. I'm not talking about a big charity event. I'm just talking about something simple that you think might make someone's life a little bit better or easier. We've thought about drawing a photograph, a picture or a painting, or sending a letter to somebody in our street just to show that we care for them and that we're thinking about them. Make a list of these things. Try and work out what we can try and do and see how we can show care for others. And over the time we're doing it, we're remembering and thinking about God's care for us. So thanks for watching. Thanks for joining us today on Christian Truth for All. Please get in contact if you've got anything, any videos or any worksheets done or anything you want to send us in. Send it in by email at our Gmail account, or even post it on the Christian Truth for All Facebook page. And of course, keep on watching our YouTube channel, Christian Truth for All, for more content coming very soon. Thank you for watching, and God bless.